The communication array on Station Harmony crackled to life with an encrypted signal that made Ambassador Kim Tai nearly drop his morning coffee. For 15 years, the aliens had barely spoken to humans except for basic trade deals. Now, 3 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy stood before him as holograms, and they looked desperate. High Counselor Vexmar was the first to speak. His tall, blue-skinned form trembled slightly as the translator converted his words into Korean. Ambassador Kim, we need your help. Tai blinked hard. He had to be dreaming. The Galactic Council asking Earth for help was like asking a child to fix a broken spaceship. I'm sorry, Counselor. Did you say you need our help? The Devourers have taken 47 worlds, said Counselor Zephyra, her crystal-like body flickering with nervous energy. They eat everything. Plants, animals, even the rocks and soil. They leave nothing behind but empty space. Captain Park Minute-Ho of the Earthship Soul leaned forward in his chair. He had been drinking tea with Tai when the call came through. Counselors, what exactly do you think we can do? Your technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. The third alien, a massive creature called Commander Korath, made a sound like grinding metal. This is stupid. These humans can barely leave their own planet. How can they help us fight something we cannot defeat? High Counselor Vexmar raised one of his 4 arms for silence. Because they are still here, Commander. Every other species in this sector has run away or gone quiet. The Altarians fled to another galaxy. The Proxima Union closed their borders and won't answer our calls. The Vegan Republic is hiding behind their defense shields. He turned his large, dark eyes back to Kim Tai. But when we sent the distress signal to every world in known space, only one answered. Only Earth said yes. Through the station's windows, Tai could see the wreckage floating in space. Huge alien ships, beautiful and elegant, now twisted into metal scraps. In the distance, something dark and organic drifted past. It looked like a giant sea creature, but Tai knew it was a devourer ship. Even dead, it made his skin crawl. How many ships do you have left? Captain Park asked quietly. Less than 1,000, Zephyr admitted. We had over 50,000 when this war started 6 months ago. The Devourers, they learn. Every time we use a weapon, they adapt to it. Every strategy we try, they counter it. They're like a virus that thinks. Commander Korath slammed one of his massive fists on what looked like a table. We should not be begging these primitives for help. It is shameful. Shame is a luxury we cannot afford, Vexmar said firmly. Commander, your people are proud warriors. But pride does not stop the Devourers from eating your children. The words hit the room like a physical blow. Tai had read the reports, but hearing it said so plainly made it real. Entire civilizations were being consumed, and the most advanced beings in the galaxy were running out of options. Captain Park stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see more human ships arriving. Small, ugly vessels compared to the alien craft, but they kept coming. Counselor Vexmar, I have a question. Why didn't you ask us for help sooner? The alien leader was quiet for a long moment. Because we thought we were better than you. Because we believed our technology and our wisdom made us superior. Because asking humans for help felt like admitting we were wrong about everything. And now? Tai asked. Now our arrogance has cost us 47 worlds and billions of lives, Vexmar said. Now we know that being advanced means nothing if you cannot protect the people you care about. A new signal came through the communication array. It was from Earth, marked as urgent. Tai opened the channel, and President Lee Haijin appeared on screen. She looked tired but determined. Ambassador Kim, I've been briefed on the situation. Please inform the Galactic Council that Earth accepts their request for assistance. We are mobilizing everything we have. Commander Korath laughed, but there was no humor in it. Everything you have? What is that, a few hundred ships? We have lost fleets bigger than your entire space force. President Lee smiled, and something in her expression made the aliens pay attention. Commander, you're thinking like someone who fights wars with just military ships. Humans don't work that way. Every cargo vessel, every mining ship, every passenger liner that can mount a weapon is being converted. Every person who can hold a tool or pilot a spacecraft is volunteering. She paused, looking directly at each of the alien leaders. We may not have your technology, but we have something else. When someone needs help, we don't ask what we get in return. We ask how fast we can get there. The transmission ended, leaving the aliens staring at the empty screen. Outside the station, more human ships continued to arrive. They were small and rough-looking, but they kept coming. High Counselor Vexmar turned to his companions. Perhaps there is something we can learn from these humans after all. Admiral Choi Sung-minute watched from the bridge of his ship Busan as the biggest fleet in human history gathered around Earth. Massive cargo ships hung next to sleek destroyers and 12 heavy cruisers that represented humanity's best attempt at matching alien technology. But what amazed him most was not the ships themselves, but how fast they had appeared. "Admiral," reported Commander Yang Ji-won from her station, "we have confirmation from all the shipyards. Every factory from Luna to the asteroid belt is now making ships and weapons. Hyundai says they can build 3 times as many ships as before within 6 months." Down on Earth, something incredible was happening. In Seoul, huge crowds gathered at recruitment centers. The same thing was happening in New York, London, Tokyo, and every major city on the planet. But these were not just soldiers signing up. Factory workers, engineers, doctors, teachers, even teenagers barely old enough to drive were volunteering to go to space. News reporter Kim So-young stood outside the Seoul Recruitment Center, speaking to her camera. "What we are seeing here has not happened since the World Wars. People are leaving their jobs, their families, their entire lives to help aliens they have never met. The question everyone is asking is simple: why?" She turned to interview an elderly man named Park Jun-ho who was in line to volunteer. "Sir, you are 68 years old. Why are you here?" The old man smiled. "My granddaughter asked me the same question. I told her that when someone needs help, you help them. It does not matter if they are human or alien. It does not matter if you know them. You help because it is the right thing to do." Back in space, Dr. Yo Soo-jin approached Admiral Choi with a tablet full of research data. As head of Earth's Alien Biology Division, she had been studying the Devourer remains from the first battles. "Sir, we have analyzed the enemy creatures. Their technology is very advanced, but it has one big weakness. Everything they use is connected through biological neural networks, like a giant brain." Admiral Choi studied the data. "How do we attack something like that?" Dr. Yo grinned. "The same way our ancestors dealt with insects that attacked in swarms. Fire. Lots and lots of fire." Meanwhile, at the meeting point near the Centauri system, alien commanders watched in confusion as human ships kept arriving. Unlike the beautiful, smooth alien vessels, human ships looked like they had been built quickly and roughly. They were covered with thick armor and bristled with backup systems that seemed excessive to alien eyes. Fleet Admiral Qex Tar of the Hegemony sneered as he watched the human fleet grow. "Look at those ugly ships. Their technology is so primitive. What did we expect from a species that still uses chemical rockets?" Captain Park Min-ho, now serving as the link between human and alien forces, overheard the comment. He approached the alien admiral politely. "Admiral, those crude ships were built by people who spent 2,000 years learning how to fight each other. Every system has 3 backups, every weapon has been tested in real battles, and every crew member chose to be here." He pointed to the growing human formation. "We did not build these ships to look pretty. We built them to win." The alien admiral looked more closely at the human vessels and began to notice things he had missed before. The armor was not just thick, it was designed to deflect energy blasts. The weapons were not elegant, but there were many of them. Most importantly, the ships kept coming. "How many vessels do you humans have?" he asked. "That depends," Captain Park replied. "How many do we need?" On Earth, the mobilization continued at a pace that shocked even human leaders. President Lee Hae-jin stood in the Situation Room in Seoul, watching reports flood in from around the world. "How is this possible?" she asked her defense minister. Defense Minister Han Woo-jin looked up from his papers. "Madam President, we have never seen anything like this. People are not just volunteering to fight. They are donating everything they own. Billionaires are buying ships and giving them to the military. Middle-class families are pooling their money to fund supply missions. Children are collecting metal for recycling into weapons." "But why?" she asked. "These aliens have ignored us for 15 years. "Because they asked for help," Han replied simply. "And humans help." The transformation was remarkable. Car factories retooled to build spaceship engines. Electronics companies started making communication equipment for alien ships. Food companies worked overtime to create supplies that could feed dozens of different species. Most amazing of all was the cooperation. Countries that had been enemies for decades were now working together. North and South Korea shared technology. China and the United States pooled resources. India and Pakistan coordinated supply lines. As the first human ships prepared to leave for the war zone, something unexpected happened. Alien species that had refused to fight began sending messages. The proud Altarians asked if they could send a small force. The mysterious vegan republic offered to share intelligence. Even the isolationist Proxima Union cracked open their borders to allow supply ships through. The reason was simple: humanity's response had shamed them. Here was a primitive species, barely capable of interstellar travel, mobilizing everything they had to help strangers. Meanwhile, advanced civilizations with powerful fleets had chosen to run and hide. Admiral Choi received a message from High Counselor Vexma as the human fleet prepared to depart Earth's solar system. "Admiral, we have received word that 17 additional species have agreed to join the fight. They say they were inspired by humanity's example." The Admiral smiled as he looked out at his fleet. Thousands of ships, crewed by millions of volunteers who had left everything behind to help people they had never met. Then let's go show them what humans can do. The first real battle came at a mining world called Kepler 442b. Admiral Choi stood on the bridge of the Busan, staring at his tactical display with growing concern. Long-range sensors showed a massive devourer swarm heading straight toward a convoy of refugee ships carrying 3 million civilians from different alien species. The numbers were terrible. The devourer force was 3 times bigger than the combined human and alien fleet. Even worse, the refugees were trapped between the enemy and a gas giant with nowhere to run. "Admiral," Commander Yang Ji-won reported from her station, "the alien commanders are requesting a meeting to discuss retreat options." Admiral Choi shook his head. "Tell them we're not retreating. We didn't come all this way to watch 3 million people die." On the alien flagship, Fleet Admiral QEX Ta was studying the same tactical data. His staff officers were already calculating retreat routes when the human response came through. The humans refused to withdraw? Are they insane? His tactical officer, a thin creature with 6 arms, gestured at the display. "Sir, their ships are completely outmatched. Those devourer bioships can adapt to any weapon we use against them. A frontal assault would be suicide." But Admiral QEX Ta was beginning to understand something about humans. "Patch me through to Admiral Choi." The communication opened, showing both commanders on split screens. "Admiral Choi," QEX Ta said carefully, "surely you understand the tactical situation. We cannot win this battle." Admiral Choi smiled grimly. "Admiral, you're thinking like someone who fights wars to win territory or resources. We're fighting this war to save people. That changes everything." "What do you mean?" "Watch and learn." The devourer swarm approached like a living tsunami. Their bioships pulsed with dark energy, each one the size of a city block and covered in organic weapons that could tear through the strongest armor. The alien fleet's beautiful energy weapons carved through the first wave, but more kept coming. Commander Lim Daeun aboard the destroyer Incheon watched her tactical display as wave after wave of devourers pushed forward. The alien ships were falling back, their elegant formations breaking apart under the pressure. "All human ships, this is Admiral Choi," came the command. "Pattern Delta 7. Form a wall between the enemy and the refugees. No one gets through." What happened next shocked every alien in the fleet. As the devourer swarm broke through their defensive line, 50 human pilots made the same decision at exactly the same moment. They turned their ships toward the enemy and pushed their engines to maximum power. Lieutenant Kim Soo-young aboard the frigate Gwangju looked at the photo of her family taped to her control panel. Her daughter was only 5 years old. She would never see her again, but 3 million other families would live because of what she was about to do. "For Earth," she whispered, and flew her ship straight into the heart of the enemy formation. The explosion lit up space like a small star. Kim's ship, along with her entire missile payload, detonated in the middle of the devourer swarm. Dozens of enemy bioships were destroyed instantly. But she was not alone. All around the battle zone, human ships were doing the same thing. Captain Yoon Tai-ho of the Ulsan rammed his cruiser into a devourer command ship twice his size. Lieutenant Park Hyun-soo flew his fighter bomber directly into an enemy weapons cluster, taking out their primary gun. The alien commanders watched in horror and amazement as human after human chose to sacrifice their lives. Not for their own people, not for their own planet, but for strangers they had never met. "This is impossible," breathed Fleet Admiral QEX Ta. "No species would do this. It goes against every survival instinct." But Captain Park Min-ho, monitoring the battle from his liaison position, heard the comment. "Admiral, you're wrong. This doesn't go against our survival instincts. This is our survival instinct." "I don't understand." "Humans learned long ago that we survive by taking care of each other. When one of us is threatened, all of us are threatened. It doesn't matter if those refugees are human or alien. They're people who need help. The sacrifice of the human pilots did more than just destroy enemy ships. It created confusion in the Devourer formation, breaking their coordinated attack. The alien fleet, inspired by what they had witnessed, regrouped and counterattacked with renewed determination. 3 hours later, the battle was over. The Devourer swarm had been destroyed, and the refugee convoy was safe. But the cost had been enormous. Over 200 human ships had been lost, along with their crews. That night, Fleet Admiral Qextar sent a message to his home world that would be remembered for generations. I was wrong about the humans. They are not primitive. They are something we forgot how to be. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than lightspeed communications. On worlds that had refused to join the fight, leaders watched recordings of human ships sacrificing themselves for alien refugees. Species that had hidden behind their defenses began to feel ashamed. On the hegemony capital world, the High Senate held an emergency session. Senator Vorkala, who had opposed joining the war, stood before his colleagues with a new resolution. We have spent centuries believing that advanced technology makes us superior to other species. Today, we learned that we were wrong. True advancement is not measured in the power of our weapons or the speed of our ships. It is measured in our willingness to help those who cannot help themselves. The resolution passed unanimously. The hegemony would join the war. Similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The humans had not just won a battle. They had reminded the galaxy what it meant to be truly civilized. 6 months after the first desperate call for help, the war had completely changed. What started as a hopeless retreat had become a steady march toward victory. General Song Emira stood in the command center of New Sol Station, the massive space facility that had become the heart of the Galactic War effort. Around her, beings from dozens of different species worked together at control stations. A tall hegemony officer shared tactical data with a small vegan engineer. Crystal-bodied Altarians planned supply routes with human logistics experts. Former enemies now fought side by side. General, reported Major Kang Ho-jin, we have confirmation from the Vegan Republic. They are sending their entire reserve fleet to join Operation Starfall. That brings our total to 8,000 ships. General Song smiled. 8,000 ships from over 30 different species, all united under a single command. 6 months ago, most of these civilizations would not even talk to each other. Now they were sharing their most advanced technology and fighting together. The change had started with humanity's example at Kepler 442b, but it had grown into something much bigger. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now allies. The Proxima Union, which had closed its borders for 50 years, had opened them to allow refugee ships safe passage. The mysterious Andromedans had shared their cloaking technology with everyone. Dr. Nam Hawon, head of the combined alien research team, approached with new intelligence reports. General, we found what we believe is the main Devourer hive mind. It's in the Sagittarius sector, protected by the largest swarm we've ever seen. The holographic display showed a massive biological structure the size of a small moon. It pulsed with dark energy and was surrounded by millions of Devourer ships. This was their queen, their central brain, the heart of their entire species. How do we reach it? General Song asked. Captain Oh Sung-ho of the cruiser Daegu stepped forward. He was young for a captain, promoted quickly after showing exceptional skill in the hit-and-run tactics that had become humanity's signature fighting style. The same way we've been doing everything else, General. We go straight at it. The alien commanders looked shocked. Fleet Admiral Qextar, who had become one of humanity's strongest supporters, shook his head. Captain, that hive mind is protected by over 2 million Devourer ships. A direct assault would be suicide. Would it? Asked Admiral Choi, who had arrived for the planning session. The Devourers have adapted to fight against our individual tactics. They know how to counter hegemony energy weapons, vegan plasma cannons, and Altarian crystal beams. But they've never faced all of us fighting together as one. Dr. Nam pulled up tactical analyses on the main screen. The Admiral is right. Every time we've won a battle, it's been because we combined different fighting styles. Human ramming attacks create chaos. Vegan precision strikes exploit the confusion. Hegemony heavy weapons finish them off. The planning took 3 weeks. Species that had spent thousands of years perfecting elegant, sophisticated warfare found themselves learning human tactics. Simple, brutal, and devastatingly effective approaches that focused on one goal, winning. Commander Zex Mora of the Altarian fleet had trouble understanding at first. These human strategies lack artistry. Where is the beauty in warfare? Captain Park Minute-Ho, now serving as the overall tactical coordinator, explained patiently. Commander, humans learned something during our long history of war. The most beautiful battle is the one that ends quickly with the fewest casualties. We don't fight to create art. We fight to go home. The preparation phase revealed just how much the galaxy had changed. The proud hegemony shared their shield technology with everyone. The secretive vegans taught other species how to build their advanced engines. Even the mysterious void dwellers, who had never before made contact with organic life, sent technical specifications for weapons that could disrupt devourer neural networks. On Earth, President Lee Hae-jin watched the preparations through live feeds from New Seoul Station. Her defense minister, Han Woo-jin, stood beside her as they observed alien engineers working alongside human technicians. Madam President, he said quietly, 6 months ago, these species barely acknowledged our existence. Now they are following our battle plans and adopting our tactics. They are not following us, President Lee replied. We're all following the same idea. That when someone needs help, you help them. The final briefing brought together commanders from every species in the alliance. Admiral Choi stood before the mixed group, looking out at faces, crystals, energy fields, and forms that had no human equivalent. Friends, he began, using the simple word that had become the unofficial motto of the alliance, tomorrow we end this war. Not because we are stronger than the devourers, but because we fight for something they cannot understand. We fight for each other. Fleet Admiral Qex Ta stood up. Admiral Choi, 6 months ago, my people looked down on humans as primitives. Today, I would follow you into the heart of a black hole if you asked. Similar declarations came from around the room. The vegan representative pledged her people's eternal friendship to Earth. The Altarian commander offered to share their most sacred technologies. The Void Dweller's translator managed to convey what might have been affection. When Operation Starfall launched the next day, it was not just a military campaign. It was a statement that the galaxy had found something worth fighting for. They had found it in the example of a small blue planet whose people had a simple philosophy: when everyone else turns away, we say yes. The combined fleet moved toward the Sagittarius sector like a river of light, carrying the hopes of billions of beings toward their final confrontation with the darkness. The devourer hive mind died with a scream that echoed across half the galaxy. Every living being within 1,000 light-years felt it, a psychic shriek of rage and confusion as the central consciousness that had controlled billions of bioships suddenly went silent. Admiral Choi stood on the observation deck of the Busan, watching as the last devourer vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Around him, the combined galactic fleet maintained perfect formation. Human ships flew alongside hegemony cruisers, vegan destroyers, and craft from dozens of other species, all united in victory. Admiral, Commander Yang Ji-won reported with barely contained excitement, we're receiving surrender signals from devourer swarms across 17 sectors. Without their queen's guidance, they're just giving up. The battle had been shorter than anyone expected. When 8,000 ships from 30 different species attacked as one coordinated force, even the mighty devourer swarm could not adapt fast enough. Human ramming attacks had broken their formations. Vegan precision strikes had targeted their weak points. Hegemony heavy weapons had finished the job. But the real victory had come when Captain Oh Sung-ho led a desperate assault directly into the hive mind itself. His ship Daegu, along with volunteers from every species in the alliance, had penetrated the biological fortress and detonated their power cores at its very heart. 6 months later, the rebuilt chambers of the Galactic Council on Centauri Prime buzzed with excitement. Representatives from 200 species filled the Great Hall, all gathered for a ceremony that would reshape the galaxy forever. President Lee Hae-jin stood at the center podium, looking out at the incredible diversity of life forms before her. Crystalline beings sat next to energy creatures. Massive hulking forms towered over delicate insectoid delegates. At the front sat the original council members who had first asked Earth for help. High Councilor Vexmar rose from his seat, holding an ornate document that glowed with official seals from every major civilization. President Lee, by unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, we offer Earth the position of supreme leadership over all member worlds. You have earned the right to guide us into a new age. The offer was incredible. Humanity would become the dominant species in the galaxy. They would control trade routes, manage resources, and have veto power over all major decisions. Former devourer territory, rich in rare minerals and perfect for colonization, would belong to Earth. The chamber fell completely silent as President Lee smiled and shook her head. Honored representatives, humanity is grateful for this recognition, but we must decline. Shocked murmurs rippled through the crowd. Fleet Admiral Qextar, now Earth's strongest supporter among the alien leaders, stood up in confusion. Madam President, your species saved the galaxy. You have earned the right to lead us. Why do you refuse? President Lee's answer was simple but profound. Because the moment we start thinking we deserve to rule others is the moment we stop being worthy of their trust. She gestured to the mixed assembly before her. What we propose instead is something new. Not a hierarchy based on who is strongest or most advanced, but a partnership based on mutual help and respect. Dr. Yo Soo-jin, now serving as Earth's chief diplomatic advisor, stepped forward with a new document. We call it the Mutual Aid Charter. Every species contributes what they can and receives help when they need it. No rulers, no subjects, just friends working together. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some species, particularly the older and more traditional ones, could not understand why humans would refuse power that was freely offered. But others, especially those who had been inspired by humanity's example during the war, supported the new approach. Commander Zexmora of the Altarians spoke for many when she said, the humans could have demanded tribute after their victory. They could have claimed territory or slaves. Instead, they ask only for friendship. This is why they deserve our respect. The charter passed by a wide margin. The new galactic government would be based on cooperation rather than domination. Species would maintain their independence while supporting each other in times of need. 5 years later, the system was working better than anyone had imagined. When a plague struck the vegan worlds, medical supplies arrived from dozens of planets within days. When the hegemony faced economic collapse, other species provided loans and expertise. When pirates threatened the Outer Rim, a combined fleet of volunteers assembled to deal with them. Ambassador Kim Tai, now serving as Earth's permanent representative to the Council, received visitors in his office on New Sol Station. 2 young beings from recently discovered civilizations had come seeking advice. Ambassador, said the first visitor, a tall creature with silver skin, our people are facing a crisis. Natural disasters have destroyed half our worlds. We heard that Earth might help us, but we have nothing to offer in return. Kim Tai smiled the same smile that President Lee had worn years earlier. You don't need to offer us anything. When someone needs help, we help them. That's what friends do. The second visitor, a small fuzzy creature with large eyes, looked confused. But why? What do humans gain from helping strangers? Kim Tai looked out his window at the bustling station where dozens of species work together in harmony. We gain the knowledge that we live in a galaxy where no one has to face their problems alone. We gain friends. We gain a universe worth living in. Years passed, and the galaxy prospered under the Mutual Aid Charter. When new crises arose, everyone knew where to turn. Not to the most powerful civilization or the most advanced technology, but to the small blue world whose people had taught them all a simple truth. The greatest strength comes from helping others, and the greatest honor comes from being the friend that others can count on when everything goes wrong.